So this question looks like it's going to be a translate word problem question. TWP questions are typically 4 or more lines long, so we definitely qualify there. And I'm just going to read a sentence at a time, making sure to write down any quantitative information as I go. So the first sentence here says Alan drives an average of 100 miles per week. So I'm going to say 100 miles per week. The next sentence, his car can travel an average of 25 miles per gallon of gasoline. So we get 25 miles per gallon. Next sentence. So before I go on, is there any connection I can make here? That means that on average, you need 4 gallons of gas, right? Because if every 1 gallon you're going 25 miles, but every week you're driving 100 miles, then on average you're going to need about 4 gallons of gas to drive for that week. I like to make those connections in between the information provided because sometimes it's helpful. The next sentence here says Alan would like to reduce his weekly expenditure on gasoline by $5. Okay, so far we don't know how much money's been spent, but we do know, just to make a note, we want to decrease by $5. Decrease costs. Assuming gasoline costs $4 per gallon. Okay, so now we have costs $4 per gallon. So again, now I'm going to connect that to this because if he's driving 100 miles per week in a car that drives 25 miles per gallon, then we know that he's purchasing 4 gallons of gas per week. If the gallon of gas costs $4, that means he's paying $16, right? $4 times 4 gallons is $16. And he wants to reduce this by $5, which means we want to be paying around $11 per week instead of the $16 per week, right? Like that will be our $5 weekly reduction in expenditure. All right, so I'm just making sure I keep my mind wrapped around everything, like every consequence of every sentence that I read before I just keep going on. So assuming gasoline costs $4 per gallon, which equation can Alan use to determine how many fewer average miles he should drive each week? Oh, so we're back up to the miles. All right, so we're basically saying you can't drive 100 miles per week and save $5. You need to drive fewer miles. So how would I do this? I would say, so which equation can Alan use to determine how many fewer average miles? So I'm assuming the M is for miles here. Yes, M. How many fewer average miles he should drive each week. So we know that he's doing 100 miles. We have 25 miles per gallon. I think I would try to make this real to me. So I'm not buying 4 gallons of gas anymore because I want to spend $11. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. If a gallon of gas is $4 and I am buying 4 gallons, right? So times 4 gallons that I'm spending, that's where I'm getting this $16 that I'm spending. So $16 for 4 gallons is the connection here in terms of cost over gallons. Okay. But I want to only spend $11. But I don't know how many gallons of gas that would be. So I'd have X dollars there, or X gallons there. So I can use this proportion to figure out how many gallons I'm going to buy. Then I think I can back my way out to figure out miles. Let's see. So when I do cross multiplication here, I get 44 equals 16x. I can divide by 16 on both sides. And what I get going to my calculator is 44 divided by 16 is 2.75. So I cannot buy 4 gallons of gas. I can buy 2.75 gallons of gas. Okay, but I still have a car that drives 25 miles per gallon, right? So 25 miles per gallon times 2.75 gallons should give me a number of miles. Right, so 25 times 2.75. So it looks like I'm going to be driving about 68.75 miles now. So again, the question, assuming gasoline costs $4 per gallon, which equation can Alan use to determine how many fewer average miles? Well, if I started off at 100 and now I'm at 68.75, I need to find the difference between those, 100 minus 68.75. So I've reduced my number of miles by 31.25. Okay. So then that's what I want my miles to equal, M to equal 31.25. So that's what I'm going to use. So how would I do that? So in this answer choice A, I would actually multiply both sides of this equation by 4 over 25. Because I just want to get miles now. And I go to my calculator and I see, well, what is 95 times 4 divided by 25? And it's 15.2. So that's not what I want because I want 31.25. So A is gone. How about for choice B? Again, I do the same thing, multiply by 4 over 25. So on this one, I'd have 5 times 4. 5 times 4 divided by 25. That's going to be just 0.8. So that's not what I want either. Here, I'm going to multiply by 25 over 4. So 95 times 25 divided by 4. 95 times 25 divided by 4 is 593.75. So that's also not it. And here, 25 over 4 times 25 over 4. So 25 times 5 divided by 4 is 31.25. So there's my answer. So choice D is the answer. So it's kind of an unconventional way to solve this. There's probably a better way. I'm not thinking of it right away. Please leave in the comments if there's a more straightforward way that you see. But I just made this real to myself, right? I'm driving 100 miles per week. My car gets 25 miles per gallon. I am paying $4 per gallon, right? Which means I need to purchase 4 gallons of gas every single week. That costs me $16. I want to save $5, right? Everything that I've written came from translating this question. If I'm saving $5, that means I now want to spend $11. That takes me directly here. Well, if $16 is how much I was spending to pay or to buy 4 gallons, then how many gallons am I buying with $11? That gets me to the 2.75 gallons, right? But the cost of gas hasn't changed, right? So, and the mileage of my car hasn't changed. So I use that 2.75 to figure out, well, how many miles am I driving if I'm buying 2.75 gallons worth of gas? Well, I'm now only driving 68.75 miles. So how many fewer miles am I driving? I'm driving 31.25 fewer miles than I was before, which means like that is the number that I should get from the equation over here. That's the correct one, because this question is asking me to determine how many fewer average miles he should drive each week. So to me, it makes sense logically. It's just that I don't know if this was the way that the College Board might have wanted you to answer it, but hopefully you get something out of this that is useful.